lovelies. Make sure that cauldron is boiling hot. Yes. You there, you should keep stirring it. And then you shall add in these ingredients. Yes. Take them off the pile. One at a time you will add. And you wait until each one is Keep stirring, lovely. It should become a deep moss green color. Lovely, isn't it? Good. Good, very good. Yeah. Let's see, where were we? Right here. Found you. Adding in one exotic flower. Well, I guess this one will do. This one, I'm making it fine. Shush, my lovelies. That's scary, I guess. Oh, please calm down. I can hear your heart racing like the gallops of a wild stallion. Try to calm your nerves, love. I know. What about a bit of a drink? You do seem a bit thirsty from your trip to the swamp. I know. What to give you? What about a vintage wine? A blood wine made from an elf. I believe it was over 200 years old, yes. Quite the vintage, wouldn't you say? Oh, come, you must be thirsty. If not for a blood wine, then perhaps. How about a toad's tea? Does that sound nice? Infused with toad words? Lovely, isn't it? A bit of tea then, yes. There you go. I added a bit of must to spice up the flavor. Come, don't hesitate, have a little sip. Ooh. Well, coughing is normal. Also, you might experience hiccups that sound oddly similar to a toad's call. Most of the time it's nothing permanent, it only is active whilst the bruise in your system. But if not, then you are one of those odd exceptions. We'll have to wait and see. Wonderful. So, let me just study your face a bit. You have such a lovely balanced face, you know. Have people told you that before? Yes, my lovelies, indeed, I think so too. So tell me, what can the Witch of the West do for you? Huh? post office worker, lovelies. Did you hear that? They did. The post office assistant. Doesn't that have a nice ring to it? I'd say so. So, you would like me to enchant those gloves, alright? Well, I do owe Lipsis a bit of a favour, I'd say. Complete accident, of course, releasing a horde of tallies upon her post office. They like to nibble parchment, but it's not good for business. I'd say a couple of letters lost for eternity, but that's all. Not too much damage, of course. And also not entirely my fault. Just a slip of the hand and a burst of power in the wrong direction. But who's to say that it was me? Nonetheless, I will give it his favour, of course. So, what I need from you are those gloves, if you please. And then I would also need a bit of blood for myself, don't worry. A bit of blood, some incantation, and some incense. Thank you. Still the classic black, I see. Yes, this will do perfectly. Now we wait till the fire goes out. This one will allow my lovelies to do their work to the fullest. Isn't that right? So, let us now summon those ancient ones, shall we? Lovelies, are you ready? I summon the mother dragon, carry, blood, bones of trees, protection, safety, for shall no curse, no hangs, let you do the trick. You seem quite excited and fascinated. Never seen a witch perform magic? You haven't? Well, I'd say we're quite rare. At least the official witches. Well, what you just witnessed was just a small snippet of what a real witch is truly capable of. You like to summon both light and dark magic, for you will need both to perform any kind of spell. You see, a witch should be able to handle each type of magic, the light magic and the dark magic. That being said, we extract ample amounts of both in a certain ratio that is different for each spell, and thus we generate what is necessary to perform the spell and the transformation. And this must probably sound a bit boring to someone who doesn't usually dwell in magic, I can see. Okay, well, that is done then. Now, if you don't mind, might I just have a little look at your destiny? It's something I like to do to everyone who visits my shop, so I can perhaps offer a bit of protection or guidance or advice. It's free of the house, of course, so you don't have to worry about that. Lovely. Now then, if I can just... I see many lifelines coming together with yours, and some of those lifelines turning black and brittle and snapping. Other ones will live on. Did you hear that lovely truth keeper that comes from their lips? Truth keeper shall be your name. Why, it's not certain yet, so I can make an educated guess or so. As a post office worker, I'm sure you will get your hands on some nice secrets. Having them sealed behind your lips will make you a truth keeper. Of course, destiny has its ways of surprising us. But the brittling and blackening of those lifelines is something that worries me. I fear you'll need some kind of protection. Let's see, what could I offer you? How about a bead of jade? Perfect to balance out your cells, and it will burn any demonic creature. But then again, not all evil comes from demonic creatures. What if it were just a human or an elf who were to attack you? And you'll know. What about a moon jewel? These are so powerful to protect you against everything at night. Physical harm and emotional harm. But they'll only work at night, so you'll probably be traveling more during the day. Not so useful then, I would say. Should I give you? Yes, why not? This is one of the rarest items that you'll ever get your hands on. Hopefully, probably. This is one of the most rarest items that I have, but I feel that you have more of a need for it than I do. It is a candle as dark as the night, but be alarmed that it is not just any kind of candle. No, this one is only to be lit up when you're in a dire situation and in need of saving. You see, a couple of years ago, a couple of extremely powerful creatures has signed a contract of the Black Candle. This means that they are obliged to come in to aid the one who lights it. Of course, it cannot be made any abuse of this candle. Do not use it to heal any emotional damage or win a war. There are a couple of rules. The most important one is just that you have to light it. Any kind of fire will do, and the person who signed the contract that is closest to you will be summoned. They will fight off the evil that you are facing. Think of a herd of wolves in the forest, for example. Yes. So this might be very useful to someone like you, who I suppose will find their ways on travels a lot. Yes, so be it. Now, I told you this is a rare item, so I'll need something in return. Let's make a bit of a deal. Why don't you bring back a treasure or two from your travels as a post office worker? Doesn't matter much what it is, any materials, potions or fabrics or herbs or plants, anything that you think that I might find useful, I will give you this one. In return, you get me a treasure or two. Alright? Wonderful. Now, that is all said and done, why don't we go over that little basket I see beside you, full of ingredients that I ordered. Yes, did Lipsis get each one of them? You're not so certain. Let's get over each one and see if everything is present that I requested, right? Wonderful. Should it include a list of all ingredients and their prices? You see, being a royal witch, I am obliged to stay in the West. Not that I wouldn't be able to transport myself in the blink of an eye to the other side of the kingdom, but it is a law that we have to stay in at least the wind direction of where we live, and thus it makes me a bit more constricted to getting a certain amount of ingredients, and thus I have to rely on post offices such as the one that you're working in. That being said, I do enjoy a stroll outside once in a while. I like to go to the sea and breathe in a bit of the sea breeze, or go far beyond in those dark mines of the dwarves and see what gems they are taking out of that mountain. Yes, the world is a beautiful one, but it is more constrictive when you control it like this. Anyway, I'm glad to serve the people, of course, but it comes at a certain price, I suppose. Right, first off we have a bottle of troll mucus. This greenish liquid is used in potions that give us night visibility. You see, mountain trolls have the ability to see at night, which no one would expect really. But part of that ability is, for one odd reason or another, transported into that mucus. Vile and disgusting as this might seem, they are added sometimes to potions, so it's best if we don't know which ones, of course. Next up we have spider silk from some labyrinth spiders. Labyrinth spiders you will find dwelling in old underground libraries, where they basically hunt any rodents that try to nibble on the parchments of those ancient books. They were put there by the librarians themselves. You will find the librarian often wearing a pouch of mint or citrus that allows them to ward off those spiders. Truth be admitted, the spiders are the size of a big dog, quite frightening sometimes. So happy I don't have to gather the spider silk myself. Wonderful, just wonderful. Next up, we have a bottle of liquid nightmare. Now, one drop of this in pure state will give you sleep for 1 month. It does have the odd effect that it gives you nightmare during that entire month, so it is often used in sleeping potions, but not in this pure form. Perfect if you have a bit of sleeping trouble. Next up, we have a little pouch of gnargle fur. Now, gnargles are these lion-like creatures with moss green fur, with extreme long teeth and sharp claws. They're quite rarely seen in the kingdom of Moonford, but our own king has one as a pet. And so, I must just wonder how many fingers might have been lost trying to retrieve this little plug of fur. Then again, it is not my concern how it is retrieved, just that I get it again. Next up, we have a vial of cleansing salt. This salt is perfect to protect yourselves against magic witches. Well, if you want to know what it feels like, it feels as if thousands of flames are burning you from the inside. Yes, didn't like to touch this really, but it is sometimes necessary to clean off any spells from other witches. Next up, we have a little bottle of trickleberries. Now, trickleberries are quite a fun type of berry. They grow in high cliffs above the waves crashing into them in the south, and found on little bushes on those stony walls. These ones have the lovely effect of bringing back hallucination and enjoyment and amusement. Quite an indulging berry. You will find that young ones often try to gather a couple of these berries from these bushes as a passage of courage, as to say, and then afterwards they indulge themselves in them around a hot fire at night in the forest, saying all that is not true, but enjoying it nonetheless. Next up we have this plot woven by fire gnomes. They have the ability to weave fire flames, for they live low beneath the forests in a dusky, hot and flame-like environment where they make armory and cloths of fire. A very solitary existence, but true craftsmen. This fire cloth allows one to touch any object, doesn't matter the heat or the warmth that it gives off. So it could be fashioned into a pair of gloves to handle, well, let's say, galls or something, but I've heard that it can even withstand dragon fire. Very valuable when you're trying to make some combustion potions. Let's see. Next up, we have a pouch of calming myrrh. Now, this one is burned for witches when they're trying to get into a state of extreme relaxation and concentration. There's a need for focus when performing certain dangerous and explosive spells, so burning this helps the witch to reach that point of focus. It is also good because one little moment of distraction and the whole place could explode. So, a very useful little thing to have. Next up we have this beautiful seashell. I think this must be the siren's treasure that I requested. You see, it could be any object, but the siren has to clutch it in a hand and keep it close to her chest for a long period of time. This way her song's magic will seep into it. I've heard that if you listen carefully that you might hear the sound of waves crashing on the shores, or even the siren song. Shall we have a little listen? Yes, lovelies, would you like to listen as well? As I thought. Lovely. This is liquid coming from a broken heart, produced by a maiden whose first love has betrayed her. Calls the heart bleeding out this blackish liquid. So she is still alive. The heart isn't just as easily mended as any other physical wound, I would say. If you listen carefully, you can hear the beating of a weak heart now. Poor little thing, but she's still alive and the wound will heal eventually. Plus, this offers for a great ingredient for my potions. Be careful with this one. These are fire flakes, extremely spontaneous at combustion. Perfect if you have a potion that will need transformation only through firepower, or if you're just trying to start a fire for your tea. But you have to be careful, making sure they do not combust spontaneously altogether. cause a real fire hazard. Next up, we have this thick book filled with healing magic spells. It's always good to study up a bit. But as you can see, healing magic is quite a thick and broad subject. It doesn't only encompass things such as literal healing or physical wounds, it can also work for exhaustion as well as emotional healing or the healing of curses, you name it. So that's why this one is so thick. Wonderful. We have this bag filled with bloodstones. Now, bloodstones are formed over eons of times, there where blood has flown and seeped into the ground, into the mountain. There it will form through a natural process. Sadly, it is quite a frequent event for blood to seep into the soils. A fight might have broken out, or an animal might have been wounded. That being said, it still takes quite a lot of time to make these types of stones. Next up, we have this bottle filled with crystal water drops. Now, crystal water is found in the Crystal Lake, deep into the White Mountains. There is a cave filled with gems and wonders, and the water there is crystal clear and reflects all its surroundings. People have said to lost track in this cave, being unsure where the cave ends and where the water starts. Still, it has beautifully cleansing properties, as well as some healing properties. Next up is a little pouch of fairy foliage. This type of foliage is very potent, but as you can see, very short-lived. We'll have to find a good use for it soon. This one grows on the back of a very special kind of deer. But once it is plucked, it will start to wilt like this and turn to dust within the span of a week. Then we have a little sachet filled with pumpkin berries. These I like to use for spicing up my potions. Some potions have the tendency to taste a bit and smell a bit old or dull or just a bit vile. So adding a couple of these into it often spices up and sweetens up the potion flavour. Did you know that these are the smallest pumpkins that can be found in the whole kingdom of Moonsford? Yes. They're not much bigger than a thumb, would you say? No, they're not. Let's see. Next up, we have a little vial of unicorn blood. Now, this unicorn blood is extremely powerful in its healing potential, but it has to be obtained with the consent of the unicorn itself. If it were to be obtained via violence, for example, the blood would turn into a muddy black goo, being the most poisonous thing ever existing. Even my potions won't be able to rival that. Anyway, extremely useful. This could save a man that is just seconds from death and heal him completely. We have a little box filled with the charts of an enchanted mirror. A fully mended enchanted mirror is extremely dangerous, but the charts of it still possess some kind of magic that we extract for truth-telling potions. Yes, it helps makes the lips a bit more loose, as we say. And then it seems that we are on one of our last little vials. This one contains a blend of River's special spices. I honestly just used this one to add them to the crackers for my bird. Speaking of, well, my demon bird must have gone out. Maybe hunting from some mice or something. Tell me, do you have a demon bird? No? Well, they're quite common here in the Kingdom of Moonsford. I believe that even your master, Lipsis, doesn't she have one? Yes, a pink one. A pink parrot, I believe. Very useful, you see. Mine helps with amassing power and magic. I don't know precisely what her servant does for her, but they can take on human as well as a bird form. A simple contract is simply needed to make the bond. I just had to pay up the color of my hair, but that's all. If you're interested, I believe there is a shop inside of Hazelton that sells demon birds. Next up, we have a very, very, very small vial of dragon flakes. While these can be used as a simple spice, when added in the right amount to a potion, they extract all emotions. Now you might think that this is not really a useful potion, but what if you were to to make an extremely loaded decision and you wish not to be disturbed by any emotions. That's what this potion, for example, could do for you. Well then, I believe that everything that I requested is present. My thanks, and I have to pay you up right now, I guess. So, that should do it. Yes, wonderful. Thank you for delivering my package. And of course for the enchantment of the gloves. It's always nice to have a bit of practice on every new customer. And please, don't ever be afraid to come again for just some chatting or guidance or protection or healing. Or if you're in for it, a bit of mischief perhaps. Yes, why not? Well, it's lovely to meet you, post service assistant. I feel like we'll meet each other again, especially since you'll have to provide me with a couple of those treasures, alright? Good. Now then, have a good evening.